Hello, everyone. A very good morning to all of you. I am Vaishali, welcoming you all on behalf of Solar Quarter and First View Group to our today's webinar on Solar Market Outlook Western Africa. Thank you, all the attendees, for joining us today. I hope all the attendees had a great time networking with your peers at our exhibition tables. We will have that networking session again after the panel discussion as well. Now, I take the pleasure to thank our sponsor, JA Solar and Cleanergy, for extending their immense support in organizing this event. So now we will be playing our sponsor videos.
From the native land of China to all corners of the world. From the seaside to the mountain tops. From the peaceful countryside to the bustling city. JA Solar is dedicated to the great cause of energy transition and innovation, a great journey that never stops. Driven by the concept of customer first and mutual value, JA Solar continues forging ahead. Dreams give us the power to imagine. Reality keeps us grounded, anchored in the present era and focusing on high-quality green development. JA Solar aims to unbundle the majesty of sunlight emanating in the universe and shapes this infinite energy into a road of new greatness by repurposing it for a higher calling. Beginning in 2005 when it was established, accelerating in 2007 when it was listed on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange in the US, and maturing in 2019 when it successfully relisted on the Shenzhen A-Shares Exchange. JA Solar has written a magnificent history through the powerful currents of those times. Throughout this journey, JA Solar has remained true to its sacred mission: develop solar power to benefit the entire human race, standing bravely on the tide and pressing ahead on firm footing. After steadily developing and improving over more than a decade, JA Solar has continued to build and perfect an integrated manufacturing chain covering silicon wafers, cells, modules, and power plants, all in an effort to achieve a vertical integration of manufacturing and marketing service systems, from the front-end products to the back-end power generation solutions. Innovation promotes advancement. Excellence produces miracles. With insight sharpened by the rapid fluctuations in the global PV market and adaptability forged by the ever-changing customer demand, JA Solar consistently gets its teams that are never satisfied to pull together and realize a road to stardom in the PV industry. Consistent quality upgrades, interminable cost reduction efforts, and effective process improvements have been the core of our efforts. JA Solar plays an active role in the digital and intellectualized transformation and upgrading, and strives to build a dual mode of intelligent manufacturing and intelligent operation by adopting such advanced technologies as big data, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence, which help to realize intelligent operation and maintenance management and quality control in the production stage, and therefore greatly enhances the security, smartness, reliability, and cost-effectiveness of the operation and maintenance of the solar power station during application stage. On this great journey of bringing grid parity across the PV industry, JA Solar produces premium cells, premium modules, and has developed an independent innovation mechanism by making continuous investment in R&D. By the end of 2019, JA Solar had been issued more than 779 patents based on its leading-edge R&D, maintaining a leading role in driving tremendous development in solar PV technology. On the foundation of leading park cell technology, JA Solar continuously optimizes module types and their component materials in order to keep improving product performance and bring down the overall LCOE for the entire value chain. The next generation of products coming out of R&D are exciting and will further contribute to the industry development. JA Solar's technology roadmap has attached great importance to perfecting the N-type solar cell, whose average conversion efficiency in mass production is estimated to exceed 25% by the end of 2019 fiscal year. JA Solar's cumulative solar module shipments exceeded 45 gigawatts, of which high-efficiency Park product has totaled 13 gigawatts, guaranteeing highly reliable components in power plants with different applications, therefore achieving enhanced financial returns for the power station owners. Harvest the sunshine. JA Solar.
Now, let me quickly take you through the agenda for today. We will be having two sessions today. Our first session will be on the solar market outlook Nigeria and Ghana. And after that, in the second session, you will hear our experts panelists discuss the solar market outlook Senegal, Mali, and Ivory Coast in French language. And now, without any delay, let's begin our first sponsor presentation. I would like to invite Mr. Henry Ajinwa, JA Solar, to give their presentation. I think there is some technical glitch. We are about to sort this. Just allow us few seconds, please. Dear attendees, you are requested to please continue your networking in the chat box. In the meanwhile, my technician team will be doing the same. We are trying to rectify it as soon as possible. Just allow us few moments, please. Henry sir, are you there?
Absolutely, I'm here.
Yeah, can you just try your screen sharing, please? Yes, you can go ahead with the presentation. I can see your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining in on this particular session. And this particular session is trying to cover the West African market, which is basically my home base, whether Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Benin Republic, Cameroon, and all of that. So it's literally my home base. So thank you, everyone, for joining in on this particular session. So I'll be taking you through a GA Solar presentation, basically showing you through all our roadmap, our modules, and all of that you can't wait to actually listen to. So JA Solar as a company, we were incorporated in 2005, May 2005 actually. And then in February 2007, we were listed on the NASDAQ. And then generally across the world, we have about 25,000 employees. And then as at 2020, we were yet to update this based on the 2021 data. But as at 2020, we've had a $3.7.5 billion revenue. And our cumulative shipment as at Q3 2021 is about 79 gigawatts. This is across the world, not just Africa, not just West Africa. This is Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, and all the rest. And JA Solar, we are quite present in about 135 countries. And besides that, we have 12 global manufacturing bases. So we are quite present everywhere, and the main aim of this presence is to try to suit every market. And based on our own personal data, and also as seconded by IHS Markit, we have an 11% market share globally, whether it's Africa, Europe, Asia, or America. And then in terms of shipment, both on the technicality, the financial aspects, we are currently the number 2 in terms of module shipment based on the information from 2021 from PV Infolinks. So as JA Solar, there are like various aspects where we cover in the market. So we start off from the ingots, which is like the very first point in terms of solar modules. So we have a capacity of producing ingots in the terms of 30 gigawatts. And for moving to the next stage, which is wafers, we have also a capacity of about 30 gigawatts. The next stage in that same flow is about also 30 gigawatt of cells manufacturing. So we don't only manufacture cells that we ourselves as JA Solar use. We also manufacture cells that also module manufacturers also use. So our total capacity in that particular phase is about 30 gigawatts. Then the modules, which is our core business, we have a manufacturing capacity of about 40.2 gigawatts, which covers the entire universe, which is Africa, Europe, Asia, and America. Then across the world, we've had a lot of power plants that have used solar modules being manufactured by JA Solars. So this particular data is basically focused on our module manufacturing capacity. So we have about 7 module manufacturing power plants. So we have the one in Hefei, which is about 7.2 gigawatts. We have the one in Xingtai, which is 4.5, Shanghai, Jingao, and Yangzhou, and then the one in Vietnam. So all of these totals to about 40.2 manufacturing capacity that we have in terms of just solar modules. Just like every other companies, we have our missions, we have our visions, we have our core values, and all of that. But for JA Solar, one of our main mission is just to be able to develop solar power that is quite beneficial to the human race, because it makes no sense when you're able to develop solar energy or whatsoever alternative energy that you're able to develop and it's not quite beneficial to the human race. So our main focus is develop a solar energy system that is quite beneficial to the human race. That's our core mission. Then our vision, as every other enterprise globally, is to be a great enterprise. Then moving on to our core values. For our core values, if there are no customers in any business, then those business would cease to exist. So for us, our customers come first. So we always put our customers first, which is what enables us to know what we are trying to produce on an annual basis. So we take into consideration what the customer demands or the customers are designing from a technical point of view. Those are things that will aid us to the direction of what technical development we need to actually bring into the industry. So our core values is customer focus, which is top on the ladder of everything we are focusing on. Then moving on to the attitude and the spirit. From the attitude point of view, integrity and professionalism has to be in the forefront of every of our business engagements. So we have to put forth integrity. We are not trying to just bring in the customers to our table. We are trying to show them this is what we are capable of doing, even if it doesn't meet what the customers want. But we try to show that we are not trying to con the customers into what they want, which is not what we can exactly profile at the moment. So we try to bring the customers alongside all of our technological journeys to make them understand where we currently are and where we are currently driving to make them understand all the process, and it also aids them to profile to their own end customers what the journey would look like. So here we try to see what the milestone has been for JA Solar running from 2011 up until 2021. So like I mentioned earlier, JA Solar was incorporated in 2005, but as at 2011, we decided to venture into the aspect of manufacturing solar modules. Our core business then was manufacturing solar cells. So as at 2011, we ventured into manufacturing solar modules. So as of 2011, the efficiency then was about 18.8% for monocrystalline panels and 17.2% for monocrystalline panels. So I'll try not to bore you all with the entire 2013, 2015, but running on up until 2020, we can see we have moved mainly for the P-type monocells. We've moved from a 17.2 percent efficiency to about a 23% efficiency, which shows the gradual improvement, technological improvement, and also the effort put in by our research and design team, which constantly, annually, on a daily basis, try to look for avenues where we can improve what we are currently offering and improve what our customers are currently delivering within the sector. In terms of our outreach, we were quite everywhere. We're in Africa, we're in Europe, we're in Asia, we're in North America, we're in Central America, So we can see there are several countries where we are currently covering. For South Africa, we have a presence physically, and then just not just South Africa, where we have a presence physically in other part of Africa. We have a representative in Eastern Africa. We have a representative in Northern Africa. Then me myself, I represent the West African market. We have someone in Australia who represents that region. We have someone in Brazil, which is also representing that region. Mexico, America, and then South Korea. So basically, what we try to do is we are not just a company which focuses on just one industry. We are trying to develop products that cut across every sector across the world and tries to meet their specific demand at every point of view. So this particular slide showcases several partnerships that we have across in our course in the course of our business. We have Samsung, Renew, Asiona, Libra, Natec, Sargent. So basically, what we try to do is we try to incorporate. We are not a standalone entity because when it comes to the solar industry, you have to take into cognizance every other OEMs, whether it is the EPC, whether it's the OEM. You have to take into cognizance what they are currently doing in the industry. That will also guide you into knowing what you are preferring to the industry. Like every other module manufacturing company, what you try to do is you try to be world class. You try to improve on the technology that you're profiling into the industry. So for like JA Soda, we are one of the leaders in terms of module manufacturing. We have quite a lot of patents. One of those is the PERC patents. One of such is that we are one of the first company that have supplied the PID resistant modules. But just producing models and then pushing it into the industry is not the core. It wouldn't be the core move for any industry. The idea is that you also want external entities to also verify the parameters, some of the factors that you're actually pushing into the industry. So you come up with a design based on the information coming from your research and development team. You don't just want to push it out into the market. You also have entities who verify some of those informations that you're actually pushing out and see that they actually meet the standard that should be pushed out into the market. And one of such institutes that verify such information is the TUV. So for every of our modules and every categories that we've had, we always make sure that we have TUV certifications for all of those models. This particular slide showcases it's an information from BNEF. So what BNEF basically tries to do is on an annual basis or on a quarterly basis, what you try to do is for every module manufacturing company, you try to ascertain certain informations regarding those module manufacturers. So for JA Solar, we were able to realize that in terms of bankability, which is not just in the aspect of supplying of solar modules, the financial aspect, the economic aspects, we were certified as 100%. There were also other solar module manufacturers, which were also factored in this particular analysis. They were all graded from company A to company E, but we can see that for JA Solar, we can see that almost all the people that were surveyed in this particular analysis could realize that JA Solar is a bankable solar module manufacturing company. So we'll move to the aspect of product catalog. So we have a variation of solar module manufacturing, solar modules variations, and I'll try not to bore us in terms of the ones which are not from the Deep Blue 1.0, Deep Blue 2.0, I'll try not to bore us with the Deep Blue 1.0 and Deep Blue 3.0. So for the Deep Blue 2.0 and 3.0, we also have these in the 54 cells and also the 72 cells. So for majority of the modules that falls within the 54 cells, we have the maximum producing power for 415 watts cell module, and the efficiency for those cells are 21.3. Then also for the 72 cells within this same category, we also have it scaling up until 550 watts. And the efficiency of this cell is at about 21.3. So basically, we have the 550 for the utility scale and they have the 415 for residentials. It doesn't mean you can interchange any of this, but for the 72 cells, you require quite a number of space to install those modules. So which is why we categorize them on utility scale projects. Being the forefront of one of our major projects that we had pushed in 2021 and the early parts of 2022, one of the key advantages or one of the key components of this Deep Blue 3.0, the technology we used here was for the Persium. It was an upgraded size compared to the Deep Blue 2.0, and it made use of the M10 GA wafer, which is basically 182 millimeter wafers, 182 by 182 millimeter wafers. Then it also incorporated the 11 bus bar technology. And not just that, we also had the half cell technology. Basically, each cell was halved at every point of view. And like I would also mention, it also had a higher reliability. So for the Deep Blue 3.0, we didn't just have it in one section. So we had it in the monofacial and we also had it in the bifacial. So for the bifacial, you basically have your modules producing energy on both sides, not just on one side. So for the monofacials, we had for the 72 cells, we had it grading from 545 watts up until 555 watts. So we had the range of module manufacturing capacity. But then for the bifacial, which is the modules that manufactures energy from both sides, so we had it scaling from 540 watts up until 550 watts. One of the key advantages moving from the Deep Blue 2.0, 3.0 to also what we had as our major product in 2021, which was the Deep Blue 3.0, was that it had the higher power and efficiency. This Deep Blue 3.0 is basically what most module manufacturers will term the N-type modules. All we have described up until now is the P-type modules. So the Deep Blue 3.0 Pro is the N-type modules. It comes with one basic feature, which is the GFI technology, the gapless flexible interconnection. In the next slide, I'll explain to you what the GFI technology basically does in terms of the entire module manufacturing. So the Deep Blue 4.0, which is also relative to the 3.0 Pro, it comes with, the 4.0 is slightly different from the 3.0 Pro, but the Deep Blue 4.0 is an N-type, basically focused on the N-type module. It comes with the Bicium, not just the GFI that I mentioned earlier on with the 3.0 Pro. So with the 4.0, it comes with the Bicium technology alongside with the GFI technology. So with the Bicium, which is basically the N-type modules, then the GFI is the gapless. This helps us to reduce the length and breadth of every modules that we are producing at every point in time, which helps us to ship an increased number of modules in a 40-footer container, which definitely would decrease the cost of moving modules from the point of manufacturing to the point of installation. So we have this Deep Blue 4.0 in the 54 cells, in the 72 cells, and also in the 78 cells. Majorly the 72 and the 78 cells comes in the bifacials, and why the 54 cells comes in both the monofacials and also in the bifacials. These are also key advantages of the 4.0. It comes with a higher power, higher efficiency, lower temperature influence. They're all bifacial. It comes with a bifacial benefit, and then it also comes with a lot of technical compatibility, which means we reach out to module manufacturers, not just module manufacturers, inverter manufacturers, which will incorporate all these modules into their system to make sure that these systems are compatible with their inverters. This also comes with a lot of temperature coefficient improvement. So from previous modules that we have manufactured up on this point in time, it comes with about negative 0.35% per Celsius degree in terms of the degradation we have in terms of for every temperature improvement. But for this particular N type, we have it reduced to about 0.3. It makes it quite much better in terms of it copes better when it comes to improved temperature. So like I was trying to explain earlier, the GFI technology, like we can see somewhere on the very far right, the GFI, it comes with rounded corners, which means that we use a lot of space in between cells to manufacture solar modules. So this reduced space between cells helps us to reduce the entire space for a particular module. And at the end of the day, it increases the amount of modules we are able to push into a 40-field container, improving the general overall cost for solar modules. So here we can see the strategy for JA Solar. For 2021, our major focus in terms of R&D was for the Bicium cells, which is the N type, to improve on that technology and see how that can better the industry. Then also for that 2021/2022, where we're currently in, is to improve on that technology and then improve on the production we have on that particular technology. Then for 2023, our basic focus is to improve our production based on our factories that we have outlined earlier, improve our production to focus on this particular technology for the particular industry. Then moving forward to prospective technology, which is basically the HJT or the perovskite technology in terms of manufacturing cells. So that's like, I would say, the future projections in terms of the cells we are looking to push out within the industry. So thank you everyone for joining this particular presentation and also this particular webinar looking to cover the West African market. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful presentation. Now it's time for the second presentation by Mr. Samir Jacob, Cleanergy, on Cleanergy enabling carbon neutrality. So welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Vaishali. I'll just start to share my screen there for you.
Yes.
Okay, can you see my screen there? Can you see my screen, Vaishali?
It is still there. It's presenting to everyone. Just a second, sir.
Okay. Can you see my mouse moving?
We can see your screen.
Oh, you can see my screen. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for this session. Thank you, Vaishali, and then the team over at First View and Solar Quarter for inviting Cleanergy to present. My name is Samir Jacob. I look after marketing for Cleanergy. Thank you, Henry, for your presentation. It was very, very detailed. And, you know, Cleanergy in most parts of Asia Pacific and Australia, where we are based, we do a lot of projects with JA Solar. So looking forward to maybe projects in Africa with JA. Good morning to everybody. It is good evening for me. It's right now about just past 8 o'clock in the evening, but yeah, glad to be here. Let's jump in. So from Clenergy, our core mission as an enterprise is whether it's supporting governments, the public sector, enterprises, whatever we create, whether it's solar mounting gear or if it's cable management solutions, every single thing we design all goes towards the mission of helping all of our clients reach carbon neutrality. Various governments and companies out there all have their targets for 2050, 2040 to reach zero carbon emissions. And we want to help you on that journey. That's our real core mission at the end of the day. Bit of stats there for you. We're originally from Melbourne, Australia, publicly listed manufacturing facilities across China, Indonesia, and Australia. We are the number one brand and have been for a very long time in Australia for solar mounting and aluminium products world, and a bunch of patents there with all of our designs. Our core business within most markets is global distribution of our racking products. However, in some markets, especially in China and other parts of Asia Pacific, we do have EPC services and PPA services. And recently, we've just launched our new range of cable management. In terms of our presence, you'll see that we dominate primarily within the Asia Pacific region. This is where basically our home ground. We do have offices and distribution now across Europe, and one of the main reasons of why we are here today is because we do see as an opportunity and a massive growing market within the African region. And one of the reasons why we're here is because we're looking to maybe partner with the right distribution networks, the right EPC companies, and looking forward for the future on expanding the brand. We do have large teams over in Melbourne in the bottom right-hand corner, and then our international management team in the top left. We've got a fairly large team there in China over at one of the biggest expos, SNEC, this year, and teams in Japan as well. In terms of our product lines, there's two primary product lines. One is PV Easy Rack, which is our solar mounting product series. And then we also have Runner, which is our cable management solutions. So in terms of PV Easy Rack, we've got a couple of categories. So we've got Solar Roof, which is purely for the roof mount segment. Solar Terrace, which is our fixed tilt ground mounts. And then we have Easy Tracker, which is obviously our tracking solution. And then we also have Clenergy Hollywood, which is our solar roof, residential and also commercial purposes, but it's our complete black series. With most solar mounting gear, it's silver aluminium, whereas we actually have a black finish on our products. In addition to our ground mount structures, we also have solar carports, our Easy Shades, as well as post mounts. In terms of, if I go specifically into solar roof, we've got solutions there for tin roofs, whether you are using screws to penetrate the roof or whether you're using clip lock clamps to grab onto the ridges of the roof line. So whether it's penetrative or non-penetrative solutions, we do have products to answer that need. Same way with tile roofs, we've got maybe 8 and maybe close to 10 different varieties of tile hooks for the various types of tile roofs out there, and as well as lots of solutions for flat roofs. So when it comes to tin roofs, And if they don't have much of an incline, we have, again, a large number of variety of solutions there, whether it's adjustable tilts to raise your panels up from one side to give it the right inclination to the sun. We also have pre-assembled kits called what we call as the tripod. And we also have another pre-assembled kit, which is our latest series, called the ComT 2.0. These particular design actually allows you to go landscape for your modules on a flat roof. Where we also do have solutions for concrete roofs with a ballast system. So over here, you've got your racking gear, and then it allows you to put basically weights down to hold that system firmly to that concrete roof. And then obviously with the in our solar roof series, there is a large variety of tin or metal roofs out there. And for whatever type of scenario, that we've got a variety of different types of clamps. So for example, on the left-hand side, that is a very specific clamp for a very specific type of roof. So we literally make that one clamp for that one type of roof design, or as opposed to, for example, the one in the clamp in the middle, which is what we call as a universal clip lock clamp, that can affix itself to almost 15 different types of aluminum or metal roofs. And on the far right, we've got our penetrative L-feet, which is quite popular with all kinds of penetrative roofs. And just to show you another couple of examples of other types of roof profile clamps, and these are just a few that I'm showing you. Once you jump onto our website and you have a look at our full catalog, there's a large variety available. When it comes to Clenergy Hollywood, so this is a trend that we are seeing over the last couple of years in a lot of markets where you probably would have seen in the presentation before, along with JA Solar and many other module manufacturers out there, a lot of them are going with full black frame, full black backing sheet. And so the question you must ask yourself, if you're going to invest in a beautiful looking panel, why would you go with silver aluminum racking? Just make it a nice black clean finish, and as you can see from the examples there, it just looks like as if it's like painted black on that roof, nice and neat, without little silver dots here and there with the mid clamps or end clamps or the rail. So that's a really aesthetically pleasing solution if that's something that your clients are after. When it comes to ground mount gear, we've got a single post solution with Solar Terrace 2, a dual post solution with Solar Terrace 3. This is typically the products that are straight out of the box and can be ordered fairly easily. We also do have Solar Terrace 5, and the differences are basically from the far left to the far right is obviously stability, an increase in stability depending on your soil conditions, your wind regions. Is it a cyclone area? So when we ask you all these questions, that will help us decide on which application for you to use or which solution to use. The last one, there's Solar Terrace 5. That is an engineered, customized solution. So that's obviously working with the engineering team. The first two, Solar Terrace 2 or 3, that can be ordered straight out of the box. So I'll give you a bit of an example of a property that's actually got a ground mount gear there for you.
Samir, can you just check the audio because we can't hear the video?
Give me 1 second. Apologies, everybody. I will be right back with you. Come on. There we go. Apologies, everybody. Here we go. I'll just skip ahead.
This is why we went to ground mount, and I'm really happy with it. Really love it.
On this project, we've decided to use the Solar Terrace 2, which is a really good, rigid, great solution for ground mount. And the support that we've got from Clenergy all throughout the whole process of installing this one, as far as engineering, design, tech support, know-how, setup, degrees, is just next level. Clenergy has been fantastic with helping out on that. And they've got the best engineering that we can find in Australia that we've come across. And that's why I've always been super happy to use Clenergy.
Cool. Thank you for that. And then from our fixed tilt, we go over to our tracker solutions. So from the far left, we've got a one panel solution. In the middle, you've got two panels, portrait, one on top of each other. And then we also have the two panel portrait with our additional GPS algorithms, which have an advanced software behind it, which is our D2P Pro. So there's three variations there that's available to you. And that's our Easy Tracker series. And then we also have our ground structures. So on the far left, you'll see our Easy Shade 2, which is our solar carport. That comes straight out of the box. And that's basically, you can purchase it in either a single bay or double bay. So that's either a single car or two cars. And that also comes in either silver or black. So it depends on your aesthetic situation and what you're after. And there's a range of different panels that you can attach to the frame there. With the product in the middle, which is Easy Shade Razor, the key differences here between the first one and the second is the posts are on one far end. You'll see the one in the middle there, this is a Tesla supercharger port, and I think this is in Japan. The posts are right next to the supercharger, and that's the only single solid post you have. So it's much easier to get in and out of your vehicle if you've got the Easy Shade Razor. And but however, this is a fully engineered, customized product. So it does take a bit of engineering, a bit of speaking to our engineers. And so in terms of the design phase and bringing it over to your country, we're talking maybe 3 to 4 months, as opposed to the first product. It's a much shorter timeline. And then on the right, you've got our post mounts, which it's a single post, and it ranges from 1 to about 8 panels. And we have two variations, one for regular size panels and one for the larger size panels. We are a fairly global company from an installations perspective. Projects all across Germany, the United States, with megawatt projects there, all across Southeast Asia. And actually, very recently in this year, one of our first installations in Africa over there in Kenya. So we're hoping we can update this presentation with more projects all across your continent. In terms of Runner, cable management series, we do have one of the key elements of our cable trays is that it has a matte finish, which is magnesium zinc alloy. And what the key difference here is with this finish is that this particular solution, it's a self-healing solution, even when you get scratches over a period of time. So that's, I guess, a bit of a USP, unique selling point compared to regular cable trays. And when it comes to its covers, we do have a standard version for regular building, but we also have a customized solar product, which actually have the words solar, warning solar DC embossed onto it. We also have the MT cable tray, which is for smaller cables between solar panels as well. And that whole product comes with a range of accessories. Just to give you an example of how everything comes together, it has the risers, the curves to the down. You've got T-junctions and T-crosses, any which way you could mold this product. From Clenergy as a company, environmental social governance is very important to the company. We've been sponsoring ground mount solutions across the Pacific Islands for remote islands and schools for the last almost over 10 to 12 years now. We are a very passionate company when it comes to taking care of our employees and global social welfare. And in terms of our online presence, once you jump onto our website and you have a look at our media section, there's a variety of podcasts, panel discussions, install videos, testimonials that you've seen from all parts of the world. And it's definitely some really good content there on learning about solar and what's happening in the industry. If you're looking for our distributors in other parts of the world, we do have a distributor link. You just give that a click on our global website, clenergy.com. Click on the country you're after, and then you'll find our closest distributor. Again, the reason why we're here today is look for the right partners, and hopefully we can get your name up on this list here for you representing your country. We do have a newsletter that comes out every fortnight. Jump on and subscribe, and that will give you all the latest news that's happening over at the Clenergy shores. And lastly, if you want to be in touch with everything that we're doing, we've got our various channels there from all social channels. What I would recommend is our Facebook learning group at Clenergy Club. This is a specific group only for solar installers to learn and show what they're currently doing and ask questions, work directly with the engineers, and that portal is there for you. Beautiful. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Samir sir, for such an interesting presentation.
Welcome.
So now it's time to begin with our much awaited panel discussion, in which our expert panelists will discuss the solar market outlook of Nigeria and Ghana. And to discuss this, we have in the panel with us Mr. Segun Adaju, Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria. He is the moderator of the session. Mr. Henry Ejinwa, JA Solar. Mr. Samir Jacob, Clenergy. Mr. Sion Osundiran, Energy. Ms. Ayomide Egbola, Vesta Solar. Mr. Sudipo Oluwesai, Jebali Bros Solar. But before handing over the session to Segun sir, I may like to make a small announcement for all the attendees. If you have any questions during the discussion, please post them in the Q&A box. Our panelists will take those questions at the end of the discussion. Now I welcome all the panelists on the screen and request Segun sir to lead the discussion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vicky. And I'll say good morning from Nigeria to every one of us. Thanks to our panelists and speakers and to everyone who's joining us this time. My name is Segun Adaju. I represent the Industry Association in Nigeria, president of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria. Today we have, some great, panelists to share thoughts today on, the outlook in the West African market for solar. Thanks to Henry from JA Solar for the presentation, and also Samir from Clenergy. Very, very interesting. As said by the host, I would also advise that you continue to send your questions to the Q&A link, and then we'll take that up at the appropriate time. So let's jump in. We've heard from both JA Solar and Clenergy. Let me open the floor for our other panelists, to also share their thoughts around, the subjects that we're looking at today. Discussion on the solar market outlook in West Africa, particularly Nigeria and Ghana. So I will allow about 3 minutes each, starting from Seun of Energy. Please feel free, unmute your mic, put on your video, and give us your opening shots, and start by introducing yourself. Over to you, Shehu.
All right. Thank you, Shegun, for the introduction. And once again, good morning to everyone. Good morning from Nigeria. I'm sure we have other people from other parts of the world also listening to us. So interesting times in Nigeria, especially. Most times, I would say about 10 years ago, when you see solar panels on roofs, there are just very few solar panels. Initially, market started with 1 panel, 2 panel installations, but that has improved over time. We've started seeing 10, 12, 15, 20 panels on roofs of customers now. So what that means is people now believe in solar, and people are ready to have a good blend of solar providing more than 50% of their energy consumption, while they depend on other energy source. Interestingly, at Energy today, we have someone who is actually willing to go completely off grid and has invested in over 200 panels just to achieve this purpose. We have someone we just met, he has over 70 panels on his roof already. And what that tells us is in the next 2-3 years, we expect to see increased adoption of solar usage. And we're not surprised that this is happening. One of the reasons why we see this happening is, inflation is going up, and people need to invest in energy sources that would ensure that their expense is fixed, and of course solar can do that. So we're not surprised this trend is happening, coupled with other government policies, which I won't really want to delve into since we have other speakers that would like to talk. But interesting time in Nigeria and also in Ghana, and we're sure that yes, as we speak, there's no clear market leader yet, and everybody is well positioned, to get significant market share when we look at the population size of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Shehu, for the opening shots. Let me come over to Ayomide, the country manager for Westar Solar, to give us her own thoughts, initial thoughts and opening comments before the real discussion starts. Over to you, Ayomide.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ayomide Agbola, country manager at Westar Solar. At Westar Solar, our focus is mostly, basically commercial and industrial customers. And the biggest issue in Nigeria now is that it costs more to power your business than to pay your staff. And it's not a sustainable arrangement if you're spending the bulk of your revenue on keeping the lights on and keeping your business in operation. So with solar and other renewable energy sources, one of the biggest drives is that you can get savings on energy production by switching to solar. We'll go into details with as the project or as the webinar goes on. But the point is, if you're trying to keep your business sustainable, stay in the market, you have to be looking at solar or other sources of renewable power. And that's the whole point of this webinar. Yes, there are a lot more people who use solar now, who use renewable energy now, but have we maxed out the market? Absolutely not. So thank you, First View and Solar Quarter, for this session. I think it's going to be very exciting.
Thank you, Ayomide. Next will be this moment. Okay, yes, Shodipo from Jubali Brothers. Is a solar sales engineer, also based out of Nigeria. Over to you, Shodipo.
Okay, thank you very much, Adaju. My name is Shodipo Oluwaseyi. I work with Jubilee Brothers Nigeria as a solar sales engineer. And basically, our focus in Jubilee Brothers is on the engineering, procurement, and construction of solar projects. And also, we have a couple of products that we also sell. We are also in partnership with a lot of a quite number of OEMs of solar products. I think majorly for the inverters, we are valued partner with Huawei, and also now a registered distributor with JA Solar. So that's just pretty much of what we are currently into in Jubilee Bros Solar. So talking about solar world in Africa and also specifically in Nigeria, just like the first speaker mentioned, in the past, about a couple of years ago, when solar newly came to Nigeria, where what we used to have is just maybe a single panel installation, and a couple of some government projects across the country. But some of these projects actually did not perform well, probably because of the level of understanding of the people that actually handle some of the installations and the likes. But if you look at it today, looking at the major challenge with the source of energy in Nigeria and also the condition of our grid supply, I think one of the ways out of the issue with high cost of energy is retrofitting a solar system into the existing possibly gen set network, or probably going completely off grid. So thank God we are all moving at almost the same pace. I mean, in terms of companies that focus on manufacturing of these products, and also the EPC companies that are doing the implementation. And I think this is something that is really going to, bring about improvements in the challenge that we're facing currently in the country and globally as well when it comes to energy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your opening comments, Shodipo. So let's get into the real discussions, and I want to start with Henry from JA Solar. Let's look at installations in 2022. I mean, with a global ranking.
I think Segun sir has lost his connection.
Being the key
He's back.
growth drivers. Can you hear?
So you lost the internet connection, so we were not able to hear you or see you. So can you come again with the question?
Okay, great. Apologies. So just straight question to Henry. I mean, to give us an idea of what countries in the region is leading the race in terms of installations, and also what are the growth drivers. Yes, over to you, Henry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Shegun. So I would like to take the question from a different point of view, which is looking at what the data was like for JA Solar in 2021. So for JA Solar in 2021, we were able to do across Africa, we were able to do about 450 megawatt supply of solar modules across of Africa. And then comparing that data to what we currently have, which is the first half of 2022, we've currently done over 300 megawatt across Africa. So that points us in one direction. There's either an improved policy, improved pricing, or improved product in terms of project deployments. So if at the first half of 2022, we are almost matching the data we had from 2021 all across the entire year. So putting that aside, in terms of project deployment, there is one key factor for every for every developer, for every project EPC, which is basically trying to deploy projects that are quite cost effective for their customers or for their clients. So for we, JA Solar, our major focus is how do we consistently develop products that are quite cost effective for the market. It's not just developing products, but you want to develop products that are quite cost effective for the market. So for we've consistently looked like, aside the original cost for each module per watt, there is an external factor, which is the cost for shipping these modules from manufacturing plant to the point of installation. So what we've consistently done is look at what modules are we able to ship per container, since that's the cost you get from the shipping companies. So what we've consistently done is look at the volume we're able to ship per 40-foot container and gradually increase that to a considerable factor where we are consistently reducing the cost of shipping a solar module per watt. So like I mentioned in my earlier presentation, which is the GFI technology, basically we're trying to reduce the gap between each cell. So when you're able to reduce the gap between each cell, you're able to reduce the overall size of a panel. That definitely translates to increasing the overall size of module you're able to push into a 40-foot container. If you do that, whether you like it or not, you're able to reduce the cost. It will cost you to move the module from point A to point B, which will also inadvertently reduce the cost it will take you to deploy a particular project in terms of cost per kilowatt peak or whatever parameter you're using to define data statistics.
Thank you so much, Henry. It's good to hear that in half year you've almost met the number that you did in another previous year. That shows there's some growth drivers already that we're seeing in the region. Let me come back to Samir. Yes, with your products and your experience in the region, which parts of this region we're talking about also have emerged as developer friendly for solar developers, with favorable policies and maybe ease in land acquisition in your partnership with developers? Which region would you say has led in terms of friendliness in project development? Over to you.
Sorry, could you ask that question again? I just lost a bit of it.
Okay, so I'm just asking that which parts of the region have emerged as developer friendly for solar developers, with favorable policies and ease in land acquisition, for example, in your partnership with developers? Yeah.
Is the question globally or just pertaining to West Africa?
Yes, in the region. Well, you can start with global. People start with global perspective and then also narrow down to West Africa.
I mean, typically from a project perspective, we're looking at land costs, we're looking at feed-in tariffs, you're looking at shipment of products to that region, freight, and all of that. Typically, I think what was it last year where Vietnam, for example, released that their feed-in tariffs were going to be very favorable, and suddenly every European, Asia-Pacific company, every EPC wants to open up a solar farm in Vietnam, which dries up very quickly. So literally a lot of the bigger manufacturers literally bounce from one country to the next, depending who's got the most favorable conditions, from land pricing, of course, feed-in tariffs for long-term and locking in that long-term feed-in tariff. But also at least for us, what we've seen in Australia, where sometimes, let's just say something where it doesn't work out, for example, is if it's too regional and there's not enough the right infrastructure from a utility perspective, you could have the land, you could have the feed-in tariff, but then the cost to put the poles and wires in there for you could just blow out your entire costs. There's a range of considerations. For us, typically, for us in the African region, this is a fairly new environment for us. We're looking for the right partners to jump and to partner with. We've just started conversations with a few companies based in southern part of Africa, and we're looking to partner with few in the West. It needs to be, I guess, the trifecta where land, feed-in tariff, and partnerships with the right utilities and infrastructure. I hope that answers your question. Oh, you're muted, sir.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So thank you, Samir. Your experience in other region will also help your entry into the West African market. So clearly, issues around land acquisition, feed-in tariffs and the rest. Yes. Thank you for sharing those views.
Thank you for the question.
Seun, yes. Let me come to you. You have some experience in both residential and also commercial and industrial installations. What are the tariffs going for these various segments of the market? What are tariffs, for example, for CNI, for residential consumers? What's your view?
Okay. All right. So currently, I will start with CNI. And we've seen that quite a lot of customers are willing to onboard on energy as a service. Some call it power as a service, and where you pay per kilowatt hour. So that varies from like 120 naira per kilowatt hour to 200 naira per kilowatt hour, depending on the kind of system that has been deployed. And when I say depending on the kind, do you require more PV or more storage? If it's more storage, that will be more expensive compared to if it's just more of PV. And if it's a blend of both, of course, that also changes the tariff. But top of my head, I would say between 120 naira per kilowatt hour to 200 naira per kilowatt hour. That's for the CNI. And in terms of what we've seen happening a lot in the market today for the gated estate side, we're seeing a lot of people coming up, signing up to the lease to own options. We have players in the industry that can allow you spread payment for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then knowing fully well that what's been deployed will last you for more than 5 years or even 3 years. Initially, when we started in the industry, we realized, a lot of people were not confident of what they're offering. So most times they would rather want to do outright sales purchase. And when it comes to maintenance or there's issues with the system, they're nowhere to be found. But that trend has changed a lot in the industry today. We've had people, a lot of players investing in lithium-ion batteries, which we're sure, it can last for 5 years. You get a 5-year warranty, and the lifespan is in excess of 10 years. So that has been a plus to the industry. And that way you could then allow people to do lease to own options. So we have a lot of that. And I would say a lot of commercial banks are also signing up solar companies. Initially, like 5 years ago, they never considered solar systems to be assets that they could allow, credit financing to take care of. But right now, they're chasing us to say, you know what, let's spread payment for your customers, and that's also encouraging. The last thing I will talk about in the tariff, we've also seen trends where neighbors, are now willing to share, share their solar systems. They agree on, of course, you do audit first. If neighbor A is using 30 kilowatt hour, neighbor B is using, let's say, 45 kilowatt hour. So they're able to combine resources, come up either lease to own or most times it's actually lease to own. So it's a agreed fee. And that way, the cost of entry is just reduced, for them. But For the CNI to just end, it's more of tariff based. And like I said, depending on the nature of the business, if it's more PV will be cheaper than if it's more batteries, So, but that has to be after system sizing is done. But most of them, it's more of from our energy, I would say CNI, about 70% of the customers are signing up for the energy as a service package. And for residential, we have them doing lease to own and outright sales. And lease to own also, after like 6 months, they probably come back and tell you, you know what, I don't want to pay these interests for the next 3 years. Let me just own the system outrightly. And that conversation too is also possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Seun. It's very interesting to know that kilowatt hour pricing can be as high as 120 naira, which is about 28 cents. I mean, if you use official rates, and also knowing, I'm trying to compare that to what the grid is also charging. That be
Okay.
about half. So that means
can I quickly speak to that? Can I quickly speak to that? Okay, so grid in Nigeria, grid especially in Nigeria is highly subsidized. And I'm sure in the last 2-3 years, we've seen several increments in tariff, especially for grid, from 37 to 40 to 50 to 60, some pay close to 70 naira as we speak. And in areas where we have such people, I can assure you, they've had to come back to us to say the solar system they're deploying, the priority should just be SBU. So solar first, battery second before grid. So by the time the subsidy is fully yanked off on grid, I can assure you that the prices of grid will start competing with solar. We all know that in Nigeria today, of course, diesel generator is more expensive than using solar. By the time you look at how much you spend daily on consumption, but it is grid is more it's actually cheaper, but it's not available, it's not reliable. So if you want to run a successful business today, I'm very sure 100% of people in Nigeria will not just depend on when grid is available to run their business. As I'm talking to you now, there won't be any blink. I'm 100% on solar. If I try that with National Grid, I'm sure my system would have gone up maybe 2 or 3 times. So it's reliability that solar is bringing on board, and over time, and I'm sure in another 2-3 years, solar tariff and grid tariff will be at par. So I hope that
thank you so much.
To that, yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Just also emphasize that the solar market outlook in Western, particularly Nigeria, is very interesting. Yes, grid is highly subsidized, but there are periodic and regular reviews that very soon there will be grid parity, and then makes bankability a lot more interesting. Thank you for that. Let me, yes, Ayomide, in view of this development that we just discussed about markets in Nigeria, what do you think are government policies, initiatives or schemes or subsidies that are presently driving the solar sector in Nigeria? If people are willing to pay 120 naira, 28 to 29 cents per kilowatt hour, are there policies in Nigeria that is driving this? And what policy interventions will you say are required to further boost this interest we're seeing in the sector? Over to you.
So I'm aware that in the northern part of Nigeria, we can actually achieve lower tariff rates than 120 naira per kilowatt hour. Western Solar is able to beat the grid cost, and that definitely drives down. That's definitely lower than the cost of diesel, which is very popular around Nigeria. Cost of diesel generated energy. With respect to tariffs, I'm not particular. With respect to policies, There are policies around rural electrification and other such policies that support renewable energy. But for larger installations, I think the policies are more hindrances than supportive, in the sense that, for example, if I have a plant that needs, I have a plant in the north of Nigeria right now that needs 5 megawatts of power, but because of the Nigerian policy, I have to pay for a license that costs about $10,000 to do this installation. The cost is large, or the size of the project is large enough for me to dissolve that cost into the cost of the project, sort of. But when you're looking at a size that is about, I mean, most developers, if a customer needs like 1.1 megawatts or something, they'll convince the customer to do 999 kilowatts peak or something like that, just to control the need for a license. So maybe the limit on the limit on the need for a generation license can be adjusted. So maybe change it to like 5 megawatts or something, because there will be a lot more installations that are large enough for customers' needs that way. And a piggyback on that is, I think Nigeria needs to introduce feed-in tariffs, or encourage feed-in, create feed-in policies at least, so that it's easy for a customer that has the capacity to do a very large installation, much larger than they actually need, to go ahead with that installation and then serve their neighborhood or serve companies around them that need electricity as well. What we find is that because there's no incentive to do a larger installation that you would like than you would need, you would find this company that can generate all of the electricity that they need, but then the neighborhoods, the communities around them are in complete blackouts because there's no incentive for them to spread out the electricity that they can produce. So I think those are two policy changes that will encourage more participation in the market, especially when it comes to commercial and industrial entities.
Thank you so much. Let me quickly, sit on the same issues of incentives. I mean, what we used to say about some subsidies in the alternative markets. I mean, so for example, we just discussed that tariff grid is somehow subsidized. Some petroleum products in Nigeria are still subsidized. What would you recommend in terms of incentives between fossil, alternative, and solar in Nigeria?
I mean, we can say the good things, but is this a priority for the government right now? Not really. So yes, in an ideal situation, right, it would be nice to go up to the federal government and say, okay, we can actually help this electricity situation that we have in Nigeria by incentivizing developers and other participants in the industry to do better, to do more, But I mean, Western Solar, like every other solar developer, is a business first before it is a country supporter, for lack of a better way to put it, So these things have to be there has to, I mean, for example, I don't see why the government cannot, commission a developer to say, we have this power plant that currently has a capacity of 15 megawatts. Go there, put in solar, increase the capacity, tell us what we need to do to increase the distribution capacity of that plant, and essentially pump more power to the entire neighborhood or community that power plant serves. It sounds very good on paper, but it's just not we're not ready for that yet. Solar is a very capital intensive endeavor. You have to be ready to spend the money. That's why funding is so important. And where do we get the majority of our funds now? Offshore. So there are so many parts of this gear that have to work together. Are the funds available? Are the policies supporting the efforts of the developers and all the other partakers in the industry? And are we is the community or is the society ready for that? Because yes, solar will probably be, yes, the grid is subsidized. Will a subsidy for renewable help? Probably, because I'm not sure the average person will be able to afford solar alone. I mean, mini grids now, the cost of energy in a mini grid is upwards of 150 naira per kilowatt hour. This is way more than I have in my house. I'm a band A user, and that's 50 naira. The cost of my energy is about 15 naira. So it's about 3 times more to use a solar powered mini grid. So there's so many things that need to work together for solar to be the ideal solution in Nigeria. Are we there yet? Not quite. Can we get there? Most definitely.
Thank you so much for this positive outlook. It's the market to be at this particular point in time. While we're speaking, taking questions from our panelists, I will continue to encourage every one of us to put their questions in the Q&A segments of this facility we're using, and I'll answer those questions online so that simultaneously we are addressing both the questions that participants are raising and then the ones we're throwing in the panel. So now let me move over to Shodipo, right? Modules, inverters, and also mounting systems, and you do projects. What are the products that you use? Over to you. That's Shodipo.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't actually get some part of the question. The network was a bit.
Okay. Yes, I know. For example, you mentioned you're in partnership with JA Solar. Interesting. So I think
we are distributors.
Exactly. Yeah. So now, in terms of projects,
okay,
and also making the right choice, what do you consider in the balance of system, if I can use that word? In terms of modules, inverters, mounting systems, battery backup. What do you consider in making those choices?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there are actually there are some kind of several factors that determine what module or what brand of inverter or size of inverter that you consider when you are actually embarking on a project. Most times, these decisions are actually driven by cost. Sometimes, which I feel sometimes it's actually does not really form a best way or best decision for some certain decisions that have been made on product and brand of product that are going to be considered for a project, because it's always very important that when one is taking or deciding on a particular product that is going to be used on a project, it's always also very important to factor in the quality of what you are actually going to use on the project, because at the end of the day, it is not just saving costs now that is more important, but also how quality the project you're actually embarking on, how quality is going to be at the long run is what matters. Looking at some of the projects that are ongoing in Nigeria currently with the C&I space, where we have more of PPA agreement with a lot of companies and factories that are actually consuming high amounts of energy. Some decisions that are very key to be made on product and also quality of product needs to actually be made by considering a lot of doing a lot of risk assessments on how long the product is going to last, what what's the durability of the product, comparing it with the environment where it's going to be installed. I think some of the projects I am seeing in recent time are more on the northern part of Nigeria, and we're all aware that this region, yes, it is blessed with a lot of solar resources. You have enough, sunlight, and at the same time, the sunlight that is that we're getting more than enough of it from this region come with a lot of its effects on some products. And now let me just dive in straight to some things that we need. Some basic points that we need to consider in choosing some of the components of the solar projects. Like for the panels, it's always I think with what the JA Solar representative, Mr. Henry Ejinwa, just mentioned, I was so happy to hear about how much research work is going on in their company to improve the quality of solar panel, especially the efficiency. As much as we get enough solar irradiance from the northern part of Nigeria, it's also come, like I said, with heat that reduce at the end of the day have a significant impact on the reduction of the efficiency of solar panel. So with that, I think in that region where we have enough heat, it's always good to go for either, I think, about the monocrystalline solar panel instead of the polycrystalline solar panel in such a region. And also for the inverter, for the inverter part of solar projects, some inverters actually have, I think, mostly the transformer inverter usually have some challenges in a region where it's regions are very hot, regions with high temperature. It's also about efficiency. It affects the efficiency of some of these transformer inverter, mostly when you are doing a kind of off-grid project where you have, not just the PV inverters only installed, but also maybe the battery inverters also serving as the MPPT to manage the entire system. At the long run, the effect of the heat based on the region on each of these solar project components will definitely tell on the overall performance. At the long run, also reduce the performance of the entire project, and have a kind of impact also on the rate at which the degradation of the entire component will begin to set in. Then for the battery, for battery chemistry, there are quite a number of challenges also. We know that currently we have lithium ion as a way to go because of the DOD that we can subject it to, and also the number of circuits that it can also be subjected to. There are also, I think, a couple of little setback that can be faced with this particular component, which is the battery, lithium specifically. In a region where you have the same enough irradiance, and also, like I mentioned, the irradiance sometimes come with the other part of it, which is to generate a lot of heat on the battery. Some battery chemistry can't actually withstand some level of temperature. I wouldn't want to be mentioning specifically product now, but I know there are some battery chemistry, there are some battery product brands of lithium battery that are not suitable for projects in some regions, specifically in Nigeria, in some part of Nigeria. They definitely will perform better in some parts, but those parts where they have their best performance might not be a region where you have enough resources. And if you look at the way solar project is being handled now, mostly we always require fund, like Agbola mentioned, from the offshore, outside the country. And these investors usually look at the performance, not just only the performance actually, but also the resources, which also form part of it form part of the metrics that these investors use to make some of their decisions to say they are taking up a project. So it's just about continuous improvement on each of these components, ranging from the solar panel. I think recently, Henry also mentioned it, that JA Solar is also looking at a way of improving improving the component of the cells of the solar panel by moving from the conventional, the P-type, which is very common, to N-type, which have a longer degradation. It doesn't really degrade as quickly as the ones that we really have in the market currently. Then, lastly, about the mounting structures, I think mounting structures currently, most of the mounting structures we have are just fixed mounting structures, except for few ones that they are kind of multifunctional. You can use them on different kinds. You can use them on different kinds of roof. In the past, while I was still working as a field engineer, we usually face some issues with mounting structures when you have just a single mounting structure to install for customers, mostly for the home use, where you have roof of different design and all of that. So, and if you have to solve all of those problems, that means you have to find a way to retrofit some other kind of components in order for you to be able to fix in your mounting structure to position your panel on the roof. And this will also definitely will come with additional cost, which is going to cost a kind of increase in the cost of the product or cost of the installation. So I think there is very need for us to have an improvement, a very serious improvement in our mounting structure, making it to be very flexible in such a way that we can easily, use just a single mounting structure on different roof for installation. In that way, it makes it more easier and also reduce the possibility of incurring additional costs during system installation.
Thank you so much, Ojiko. It's very interesting to, hear, this, considerations in making the right choices that you have given to us. Yes. We'll go through another quick round of questions for the panelists, very quick. And I'll employ our panelists to make their responses short, and then we'll turn it over to the participant. Already, I know that questions are being raised and answers have been gotten, but we'll also take one or two comments from the participants. So let me ask Henry. I saw in your presentation, I think the closest hub you have to South West African market is in South Africa. What's the outlook in terms of, coming close also to markets? Maybe having a hub in West Africa. I don't know if there's any plan for such. And also, just your view around, latest technologies in module and inverters that will help in managing the levelized cost of electricity. So 2 questions in less than a minute to answer. I wish you luck. All right, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Shegun, sorry. So I'll try to merge my answers into like a generic statement. So from the first point of view, JA Solar, to be very honest, we are quite present in every market. When I mean every market, in terms of country versions. So like myself, I'm JA Solar sales representative in Western Africa. So basically, I cover all the entire West African market and some of the Central African market. So be that as it may, as I mentioned in my presentation, we have as JA Solar as an entity quite present in Southern Africa. Doesn't mean physically in terms of personnel, we don't have representative in every country. So in terms of JA Solar as an entity, where you say, okay, where is JA Solar registered as an entity? Yes, we have that currently just only in South Africa. But in terms of physical representative, in terms of personnel, we have that cut across every country within Africa. So be it as it may, whether you're from Central African Republic, Guinea, South Africa, Mauritius, Egypt, Morocco, we always have a rep that would cover whatever market you are currently covering. So we don't have a shortage of in terms of representative, in terms of getting feedback of what the market is currently dealing with and what that feedback should tell in terms of our research and development and then improvements. But then put that aside, in terms of improvements within the, I would say, within the OEM space to further increase or reduce the levelized cost of energy. For JA Solar, we've definitely put out several technologies. One of such is there are two when it comes to modules from the module aspect of from the module cost of every project. There are two key components. One is the original cost it takes you to purchase these solar modules from the manufacturing plants. Then the second phase is the cost it takes you to move those products from the manufacturing plants down to your either to your warehouse, to your site, or to your own personal factories. So they are both key components. So what we've tried to do is increase the efficiency, because for every solar project developers, like Sheyi Shodupe has mentioned, is you try to look at in terms of the entire BOS of whatever solar project you are deploying, what amount of energy am I able to generate from this component on an annual basis? That will further guide you in terms of the levelized cost of energy. So for JA Solar, in terms of the solar component, what we'll try to do is how can we consistently reduce this cost? One key component is the cost it takes you to move this component from the point of manufacturing to the point of installation. How do you increase that or reduce that particular cost? Is by increasing the amount of wattage that you're able to move from the factory to the point of installation, which has consistently guided us from the point of moving from the P-type technology to the N-type technology, improving the efficiency of each particular cell, moving from about 19 and 20% efficiency to currently at about 22.4 efficiency for the N-type technology. Aside that, we are also focusing on improving on the quantity of wattage you are able to move in a particular shipment that you're making. So if you're able to improve from, let's say, give or take 200 kilowatts peak of solar modules per 40-foot container shipment, you improve it from 200 to at about 300 kilowatt peak. That's about a 50% reduction in terms of shipping cost across per wattage. So consistently, we look at ways where we can reduce the initial cost by improving the technology, and then also reduce the shipping cost by expanding the quantity we are able to ship at every point in time.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Let me also quickly also ask Samiri. I mean, you talked about the various mounting structures that you have, and I also we heard from Shodupe in terms of maybe what is common around West Africa. Maybe firstly to say, look, how do you want to break into the market by expanding the options for solar mounting structure that we have, and also to quickly ask if you have short profile mounting structures. Over to you, Samir.
Thank you for the question. So across the various regions that we currently already are in, there's a variety of roof profiles, variety of soil, concrete, that we already address. So we already have a large bank of available options out there. But the one thing that we do, I feel that we do really well at Clenergy is we have what's called as we have an internal stakeholder group where we literally go into the market. We try to find people from the various associations, installers in the field, distributors on what they're actually getting feedback from the customers, and we use what's called as the agile method of meetings and sprints. Basically, we get this group of 10 to 15 individuals. We have a 10-week 1-hour session with all 10 of them, and then we just gather feedback from our audience, and then the audience, they vote on the most applicable products for that particular region, and that is what we will then go ahead and then produce. It does take a fair bit of time, but then through this method, we have found that we've actually catered to that audience exactly what they're looking for. So whether it's a particular tile roofs or tin or concrete, whatever it may be, there is a period which we invest in research and development, getting into the nitty-gritty of what's happening on the ground, and developing basically a platform that's going to be there, or basically products that will help fuel that market and help fuel further installations. From a component perspective, when you look at, for example, solar modules or inverters, you've got maybe 4 or 5 SKUs, right? But when it comes to components, there's like 300, 400 parts, So everything we design, even though it's just like a small little clamp, it makes a big difference to the installer who's up on that roof at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, trying to get that installation done. So for us, it's about producing that variety, so that basically we have a solution for any kind of situation.
Thank you so much, Samir. Thank you for that response. Quickly to Seun, and maybe very briefly because of our time. Can you do a very fast and brief comparison between lead acid and lithium batteries in terms of the performance, initial cost, maintenance, durability, and issues of environment? Very briefly. Seun,
Okay,
over to you.
so I think I will start from where I think Shudipo mentioned. Depth of discharge, which is called DOD, for lead acid is around 50 to 60%. For lithium battery depth of discharge, I'll put it at 90%. So basically, lithium ion batteries, you can deplete it, better than lead acid. And because of that, users, solar companies can easily give you a 5-year warranty on lithium battery. Lead acid, I think in Nigeria today, the best warranty you will get is 18 months. Some even just do 1 year. In terms of space management as well, you could get lithium ion batteries that are 2 to 3 of the capacity of lead acid batteries in Nigeria today. So rather than having a room filled with lead acid batteries, space management, it makes a lot of sense to deal with lithium ion battery. In terms of costs, if you buy lithium today, it's definitely more expensive than lead acid battery. But the advantage there is you're sure that for the next 10 years, you're not buying another battery. You're not buying new sets of batteries again, compared to a lead acid battery that you probably be changing every year. And if you're changing every year, prices go up in Nigeria. So the price you get this year will be different from what you get next year. So compared to lithium ion battery that that's probably next investment is in another 10 years. So I think just also into the last part I will talk is in terms of maintenance, lithium ion is easier to maintain than lead acid. For lead acid, you have to top up the water. You have to, it requires a lot of maintenance. And when you hear of cases of batteries swelling and probably blowing up, it's more for lead acid batteries than lithium ion batteries. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your response. So yes, we're practically running out of time. So what I'm doing also is simultaneously taking questions from the audience. So I'm passing it on to panelists. So we'll take, if possible, maybe 1 or 2 questions from the audience, voice question. So you could just raise your hand so that you could be asked to speak. While we're at it, I will ask Ayomide in a minute to tell us, what are plans for recycling, battery issues, for example? What are your plans?
The easy answer to that question is that...
Yes, go ahead.
The easy answer to that question is that we've not gotten to the point where we're going to recycle yet. So all our installations are relatively new, But
okay.
The correct answer is that we're going to dispose of batteries correctly, and we're going to ensure that we're not polluting the environment with our waste products. There isn't a lot of recycling in place yet in Nigeria, especially for these technological waste. It's there's a lot of disassembling and reusing of some of the parts that might still be useful, but I'm not aware of like concrete recycling processes yet. I'm sure that we'll get there soon. There may be a member of the audience who's already developing something or who has identified this gap and is ready to, start something significant in that space. But there's definitely room for concrete recycling arrangements to be put in place.
All right, thank you so much, Mide. So we're already taking questions from the audience, and this question I threw after Mide was actually from the audience. And let me also share some insights of what the market is doing in Nigeria as the president of the Industrial Association. So there is an alliance that's been registered. It's called Alliance for Responsible Battery Recycling. It's been appointed and approved to be the PRO for recycling, especially batteries in Nigeria. There are 2 PROs now. One is on e-waste, so e-waste covers solar panels and the rest. And then the other one is for batteries. What we have done in the industry is to, because RIAN is one of the founding members of the alliance, is to get our members to give an undertaking that they will responsibly recycle these batteries at the end of their lives, by ensuring that it is properly returned and passed through the alliance for recycling. We'll be happy to share more information about this to every one of us, and especially people who want to enter the markets. And we are trying to push that for the West African market. We are forming a federation in West Africa that will comprise of all the renewable energy associations. We have about 10 countries already. I'm also privileged to be the interim chair, so that we can have a unified, ecosystem across West Africa. So this is one information about what's going on in that space in starting from Nigeria. Great. So let me just run through the Q&A section and take some of the questions. We're already taking questions like I mentioned. I think there's a question around the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria. I'm trying to get that so I can answer that. Just a moment. I saw a question around.
Sir, I'll just show the questions on the stage if you want.
Okay, great. Did you say Q&A? Okay, so please, if you have any question, let me know. We're winding down. I think we have about 7 minutes to go. Please correct me, Vicky, if that is okay. But let me also use the opportunity to talk about, what will it take for solar power to take off big time in Nigeria as to make energy cheaper and in constant supply nationwide? From what we've heard, from all the panelists today, for example, the issues around feed-in tariff is one that I heard. Issues of incentivizing developers. For example, feed-in tariff, we help, maybe standalone system to sell the excess to the grid. There is also what we call a net metering policy framework that is currently being developed in Nigeria. The RIAN is part of the stakeholders that we are being engaged with. NEC is working on a net metering policy for Nigeria. We're hoping before the end of the year or sometime soon, that policy should be adopted, and then it makes it easier for maybe C&I or residential households who have excess that they are generating that they can sell to the grid. But as far as we're speaking, it is still, in works with the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, which is the regulatory arm of, that regulating, this space in Nigeria. So incentives, creating a better ecosystem, creating access to finance, so that if you can finance those systems for end users, for example, it's easier to create adoption. Basically, so that would be my quick response. And if any of the panelists wants to share one or two thoughts in less than 15 seconds, I'll be able to permit you. Please unmute and go ahead.
Yeah, so I would like to throw in some points to what you've currently mentioned. So aside from a governmental point of view, which is basically incentivizing developers within this space, one of such from the OEM point of view, I'll basically just mention JA Solar, but I want to think this is cut across almost every OEMs, is we try to create credit facility where we are not basically trying to twist every developer to let's say to take up these goods from us as the OEM at a specific cost and at the specific payment terms. So what we try to do is make the payment terms quite flexible for the developers. And as just taking aside the incentivization you get from the governmental point of view, from the OEM point of view, we'll make the payment terms quite flexible so that they are able to deploy projects. At the same time, then they have a span of payback time as regards to the products they have purchased from the OEMs at 0% interest rate. So for JA Solar like us, we have what I would call the Sinosure. So basically, it gives us room to ship modules to either our distributors or direct EPC, which are the project developers. We ship modules to them at maybe 10 or 15% down payment, and we give them at about 90 days to pay the 90 to 85% balance payments in a space of about 90 days. So what it does is that it gives them room to be able to develop the projects, implement it, commission it, and even start seeing some sort of revenue from the project before they even pay off all the outstanding cost from the original equipment manufacturers. So those are one of the key ways we're trying to aid the industry, aside what the governments are currently doing. So to also add to that is, if we can get an industry where the government can, aside incentivizing, you can take off things like the VAT, the duty charge in terms of importing solar equipment into the country, not just putting it as policies, but the actual implementation of taking off all these costs. It makes it easier for developers like Western Solar and all the rest to deploy projects at a very cost-effective price.
Thank you so much, Henry. At this point, we need to begin to wrap up. And I'll just throw this to my panelists to give us in one word, and I mean one word, right? What is your outlook for the West African market in one word? Let me start with Samir.
Promising.
What's your outlook of the West African market? Promising. Yes, I like that. One word. Sheung, what's your one word for this?
Green.
Sheung, what's your one word for the outlook?
Green.
Okay. Promising. All right. It's promising. It's green. Ayomide, what's your one word?
Expansion.
Expansion, right? And then Shodipo, one word for the market outlook in West Africa.
Development.
Okay, so development, green, expansion, and the rest. These are the kind of words we're hearing that describes the West African market. And I can still say to every one of us that this market remains unarguably one of the largest for this business in any part of the world. And on that note, I will say a big thank you to the host. Thank you, VK, for allowing us to speak on this panel. For everyone, every participant, thank you for all the questions you're raising. I would say encourage our panelists to check through the Q&A section of this facility we're using and provide answers to some of the questions that has been raised. And also, please note that networking continues. West Africa is the market to be, and all of us can make this happen. Thank you, and over to you, Vicky.
Thank you very much to our esteemed panel for this wonderful session, and a very special thanks to Segun sir for superbly managing the panel discussion. The show is not over yet. We are taking a short networking break and we'll be back with another exciting session in just 10 minutes. Till then, explore our networking lounge, network with your peers, and join our sponsor on the networking tables. Thank you.